Hey, I'm Spadestiel, and I'm building Howl's Moving Castle in Minecraft. But not the walking version. Everyone in the 17 Scarecrow has done that. I'm making the flying version from the end of the film. The main thing I wanted to emulate with this build was the cozy and homely feel of the castle. That's the thing that's drawn me to places like the Comet Observatory from Mario Galaxy or the 8th Doctor's TARDIS. It's a feeling of home and safety, but an area that can also be explored. Something definitely embodied in the moving castle with its many rooms and walkways and balconies, and relative seclusion from the outside world. The garden is one of the more fleshed out areas we see, and is fun to replicate, being more visually distinct than the rest of the build. The palette used for the castle is strange, not really embodying any one style. It's a mix of medieval, rustic, industrial, natural, modern. It's this mismatch which gives the castle a lot of its charm, in my opinion. The different levels and elements stacked on top of each other help the castle feel more dynamic. There are also barely any straight lines, with almost everything being at an angle. This was hard to achieve in Minecraft, a game pretty famously about straight lines, but it adds to the castle's organic nature. I deliberately didn't do a great amount of planning for that exact reason. I just looked at my reference pictures and built so as to not make it seem too structured. The motif of eyes across the structure is interesting, as it adds a sense that it's alive, which, considering Calcifer, makes sense. These exhaust pipes are built at unusual angles, using campfires to animate the smoke. I tried to make sure there was detail everywhere, without making the structure look like a mess of blocks. I did this by adding smaller details to the larger structure, rather than making important elements themselves needlessly intricate. Let's take a look at the castle in all its glory. My version is slightly longer than the film version, which I think makes it look like a fish gliding through the sky, which I quite like honestly. But the castle itself combines all the qualities of the film's version and makes a version that works in Minecraft, both functionally and aesthetically. Without mods, I can't make the castle actually move, but I try to inject the sense of movement into several elements. The propellers, the flag blowing in the wind, and the wings fabric being puffed up as if the wings were pushing downwards. All of the buildings and pathways interlinking on the outside not only make for something visually appealing, but make adequate room for a dynamic interior. Speaking of, I deliberately made the interior as labyrinthine as possible, having staircases and rooms overlap and push against each other, so condensed as if they were the organs of the castle. I specifically enjoyed making the rooms like this, with every nook and cranny being explorable, with plenty of hidey holes and secrets. Very little possible room goes to waste, with even the smallest of rooms being hidden away inside. The mismatch of materials continues inside, with sandstone and marble and exposed brick all held together in a timber framework. materials that don't always go together but fit in such an eclectic structure. And no wall is empty. Howl's hoarding takes up every room, with bookshelves and paintings and all sorts lined up on shelves and hanging from the ceiling. The very belly of the castle is the hold, storing anything he couldn't quite fit upstairs, as well as a contraption helping to control the wings and propellers. I'm pretty happy with the finished product, but if you have any thoughts or feedback, I'd love to hear from you. I hope you enjoyed my version of Howl's Moving Castle, and as always, if you'd like to see more builds, subscribing is always super appreciated. But thank you so much for watching.